Well, how's it going, everybody? Good to be here. Good to see you. Look at everybody. Thank you for being here. This is The Lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. Hope you had a great Sunday. It is, what's today? December 12th, 2021. 3 minutes past 7 o'clock here on the West Coast. Welcome, everybody. Climb on in, have a seat. We have an interesting show for you today. Different, but not. The same, but different. Different, but the same. You wanted it. You got it. They say there's nothing new under the sun. Well, you're going to find that out today. And joining me right out the gate, I have my friend Cornell from the No Such Thing podcast. Cornell is a Bigfoot enthusiast and a skeptic. Is that, would you consider yourself a skeptic?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I would. Maybe I'm not a skeptic in the real world, but in the Bigfoot world, I'm more of a skeptic, I would say.
Yeah. Well, and it's probably good to be that way. But the point of the fact of the matter is, you're an honest Bigfoot enthusiast who has morals about what he's doing, and you really don't try and exploit the situations. And that's what I've always liked about you. We've had these conversations before, and I truly do appreciate that about you. You know, like you said, a lot of people will just say, "Oh, there's a Bigfoot here," and believe every word. Also joining us, Pat from Squatch Talk. He's the center of, I guess he's kind of the center of this universe of the Sasquatch drama. Would you say?
No.
Oh, that's
no. God, no.
Well, then I got bad information. But and
it happens.
You're an enthusiast as well. Are you a skeptic? Are you? How does that work for you?
Yeah. So I would take out the word enthusiast with me, and it's more of a recognition that the phenomena is real. So that much I recognize, but I'm also a critical thinker and a skeptic myself. And so, boy, this goes to a lot of different levels, especially when you're talking about the online community for any given sort of love of what they're into, whether it be true crime, Bigfoot, flat earth. You find a lot of the same tribalism and tough waters to navigate in any online community. I mean, you got fanboys that are like, hey man, PUBG is better than Call of Duty. Xbox is better than the PlayStation, right? So it exists everywhere. But what we do here at Squatch Talk is we try and navigate these waters as honestly as possible, because with recognition, the phenomena is real.
And like I was saying, we were talking backstage, and there aren't many crossovers when it comes to Bigfoot and true crime. However, what is all combined is the human aspect of this, the drama aspect of it. Who has better footage, who has better info, and then you have people who are willing to go as far as to lie for clicks, for monetary gain. And that is, I hear everybody always talking to me. They say the true crime community is a mess. The true crime community is in shambles. And the thing about it is, if you look across any genre, across YouTube, it's everywhere. It's a human thing. It's not a YouTube thing. And that's kind of the point that I'm trying to get to. It doesn't matter if you want to talk about if the sky is blue or if this, if it is or it isn't. You're going to have skeptics. You're going to have people that take advantage of that situation. And Cornell, why don't you go ahead and tell me kind of your origins of the Bigfoot and where you search at, just give us a little background.
Okay, so I come from Ireland, obviously, and I came here like
we don't say, huh?
Oh yeah, totally. So I came here in 2000, and I got into Joe Rogan and stuff, and I really wanted to start a podcast. I'm like, well, after a while, I'm like, shit, this is totally possible. You could start a podcast on anything you want. So I started a podcast on just everything, like army vets, the paranormal, Bigfoot, prisoners. I tried to do the whole range, but then when I spoke to a few Bigfoot people, and I found it really, I'm like, wow, these people are really convincing, and they're functional members of society. And I'm like, wow, this Bigfoot thing could actually be real. So I just, because of, association and stuff, these people got me in contact with more people. And as time went on, it just became a Bigfoot. Well, I do like UFOs and the paranormal still, if it comes along, but I got entrenched in the Bigfoot community and ended up, interviewing like researchers and befriending people in the Bigfoot community. And, I'm not 100% on Bigfoot yet. I'm still 80, 90%, but I'm 100% on that there is something going on. There is some phenomena out there that I've spoken to so many people, like face-to-face, police officers, ex-army, like reputable people that have looked me in the eye, just like this right now, and told me their stories. And, I'm like, these guys aren't bullshitting. They saw something, and that just drew me in, and it drew me in and drew me in. And then with Bigfoot, there's a community, you wouldn't believe there's a community of thousands. Like I'm a moderator of Bigfoot Canada. It's only one Facebook group, but we have 18,000 members, and that's only one Facebook group. So a lot of people are interested in this. And, I just started delving into it and meeting more Bigfoot people. And yeah, a lot of them are crazy and they're hoaxers and they're full of shit. But then you've got people that, are very reputable people. And you're like, well, and I have went out on expeditions with these people, police officers, and, not all of them are lying. You know what I mean?
Right. But here's the thing about any kind of community like this. I kind of feel as though the ones who take it serious, like you, whether or not, and look, I'm not saying that, I'm sure people tell you, oh, Bigfoot's not real. Why are you even wasting your time? Oh, right. And then there's people that say, oh, Bigfoot's 100% real. And they follow blindly, which is never a good idea in general and in life. No. You should never, ever just take somebody's word for something. I live up in the Pacific Northwest, and it's Bigfoot country, as they call it. Willow Creek, California is a huge Bigfoot area. People come from all over. And, so I grew up around Bigfoot, kind of desensitized to it, kind of just going, well, I've never seen a Bigfoot. I've never,
neither have I.
And that's the thing. So you're being what you're doing is a passion of yours. You're being honest about it. Pat, same with you. You're being honest about what you're trying to find, but you have people who cannot and will not let it be and it kind of ruin it for everybody else. I mean, is that kind of your take on that, Pat?
Oh yeah, there's so much that holds it back, that holds everything back towards actual like observation and discovery. And there is something to discover there. I'm just gonna say that outright. I'm throwing that gauntlet down. I'm drawing that line in the sand. There's something going on. It's worth looking at. Hey, look, if people are hallucinating, we don't know why they're hallucinating. You know what I mean? So whatever it is, there's an actual phenomena. And so yeah, the hoaxers, the gullible people, the sort of online community really holds that back, because what needs to happen is out in the forest, not online. You're never going to find a Bigfoot online. You know, like they're not
just like you're not going to find a missing person online. You got to actually
right.
Yeah. Then hey, they're not missing anymore, right?
Right.
There they are. So yeah. So in the Bigfoot world, it's definitely a situation where there's 1,000 tribes, I would say, and so those 1,000 tribes kind of they span the whole binary, what you would call the binary polarization, you know, and so you could find everything, whatever you're looking for in the Bigfoot world, you could find it because somebody's there supporting it. And of course, the reason for that, in my opinion, is the actual lack of knowledge. I consider that a void. And what do people do with voids? They throw themselves into it. Their own, whatever their worldview is, whatever their imagination is, whatever they're influenced by, those voids get filled pretty quick. And so that's why we have a 1,000 tribes. Really.
And what do you think that their motive is when maybe you're taking it serious, but they're not? What is their motive? Is it, like you said, is it just boredom? Is it just wanting to be a jerk? What is it? What is it?
Dude, everything from monetization to trolling to attention. We've seen it all. So when people come into the online community, it could be any one of those things or a combination of all three or more. Like, I'm sure I'm probably missing something here, Cornell. You know?
No, go ahead. I got to pee real quick. I'll be back in a second.
Okay. Well, you're good.
He went straight for the I got to pee.
Yeah, man.
Instead of I'll be right back. That's
Hey,
Cornell, though.
All he had to do was blink out his screen. He didn't actually have to say anything.
That's okay. That's Cornell. I got to pee.
All right. But yeah, so it's a combination of those things, Josh. Like, if I can call you that, or what? I'm not sure what to call you.
Yeah, Josh.
I'm new to your channel here.
Not a problem at all, Josh. Yeah. It is.
All right. So if you get what I'm saying, it's this combination of reasons why people in the online community have whatever motivates them to do what they do. It's sort of
now both of my guests are gone. I had two guests, now I have none. One went to go pee and one's frozen. It's okay. We'll
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely. You're back.
Okay. So yeah, that's sort of the gist of it as far as motivation goes, I would say.
And it's funny because when we talk about, you know, the reason that this came up is you know, I've been on the No Such Thing podcast before talking about true crime with Cornell. We did it was a couple hour show. It was fantastic. I had a great time.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, tons of fun. And so, you know, that's how we kind of connected.
Yes, I did.
And I made a community post about all the drama that goes on. And what happens is, like you said, everybody starts to break off into different parts and everybody has different motives. And you made a fantastic point before the show, is you're looking for quote unquote, I'm not going to, because I don't want to insult you, but some would call it a mythical creature. Some, okay? And some would say that Bigfoot is real. But the fact of the matter is, you're dealing with something that you're looking for. And in this community, we're dealing with missing people. Like you said, the stakes are higher. And it almost makes it even worse. Like when you're dealing with missing children or just missing people.
I agree with that.
May I interject?
Please.
Our friend Brent Dill, he is a Bigfoot enthusiast, but he's also a person that goes out and looks for missing people. So when you go out and look for Bigfoot, it just doesn't mean that you go out and look for Bigfoot. You go out and explore the woods. You look for different kind of trees. You go camping. There's so much involved with this thing about looking for Bigfoot. There's a lot of side things that you can do while you're out in the woods. And Brent Dill, who has the Tall Ones podcast, he actually goes out and looks for missing people while he's out there Bigfooting. So there's a lot to be said for Bigfooting, even if it's not real. You know, there's so much more. There's so much to be gained from being out in the woods and discovering nature and stuff.
True,
right?
That's true. Yeah, and so it's
a win-win situation.
Where I go with that is, you know, if we have 1,000 camps in the Bigfoot world, ultimately speaking, Josh, like, yeah, that's not that big of a deal. That doesn't affect people's lives,
right? True crime
too much. It can, okay, but when you're looking for missing people or you're trying to solve murders, like, that's real world stuff. You got families involved. You got you have dead people. You've got like so. Any kind of hoaxing or controvery that goes on in that world,
it's harmless. In the Bigfoot world.
No, in the Bigfoot world. No. I'm talking any kind of hoaxing or trolling or, you know, I just want to do things for clicks. I don't care about the truth. Like, that can actually affect people in your realm, Josh.
Yeah, it has, and it does.
That's true.
And I thank you for pointing that out, because it can become demoralizing, I guess, when, you know, having an opinion, talking about missing people or, you know, crime cases, even just giving your opinion is one thing. But then you have things like when it all starts to turn into something else, it becomes a sideshow. And just kind of like Bigfoot, you're looking for Bigfoot, but at the same time you're fighting off all these other entities, these other subgenres, these, like you said, these trolls, these people who just want to ruin your day and not let you go on about your business, make fun of you, threaten you. I mean, have you ever been threatened before, Pat?
In real life, yes, but not in the Bigfoot world.
Okay, well, in real life, I can see that. But it gets to a point where we have creators and people who cover this stuff. Just the other day, that somebody pulled there's a case going on. A young lady, 5-year-old girl, Summer Wells, been missing for 6 months.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and it's just kind of taken over the true crime community. Like, it's kind of the main focus right now.
It's like the porcupine. Summer Wells is the porcupine of the Bigfoot world.
Yeah, and
we'll explain in a second.
Okay, and everybody's in on this, you know, talking about this little girl and this family and things like that. But we have people that are actually pulling out. They're showing up to these people's houses, their homes, and then you have people who are defending these people who have no business even being anywhere near. I'm not talking about the people that showed up. They hadn't done, you know, anything. They hadn't really gone onto the property or anything like that. But then you have some crazed lunatic grab a piece of wood and start threatening to hit people in the head. We're looking for a 5-year-old girl, and this is what's going on.
Ooh, man, that's getting convoluted as heck, man? I mean, that's
it's
that is
insane.
not cool, dude.
The stakes are so much higher in true crime.
Yeah,
It's
and
crazy.
that does not happen in the Bigfoot world. We don't have stuff like that happen, man.
Yeah, luckily. I mean, it's
That's Bigfoot.
You have, I mean, you have people. Can I curse a little bit?
sure.
Okay, you have people that talk shit in the Bigfoot world,
Mhm.
but like nothing like that's ever happened in the Bigfoot world that I'm aware of.
Yeah, there's no
Like,
aggression, but
yeah.
there's a lot of shit talking. But
Right.
that's it.
And
But
so
what
it even
what
sounds
you're
like
dealing
you
with
guys,
is real world stuff.
Yeah.
it sounds like you guys are a little more refined than some of us.
No.
Why do you say it like that, Cornell? Why do you say that?
Well,
I think it's an emotional thing, emotional level. Because
it's the same people. It's the same people just interested in different stuff.
Sure,
It's like
but the emotions are so much higher when you're talking about a missing 5-year-old girl.
Yeah,
dude.
exactly. Well,
opposed to hey, I think Bigfoot's this or I think Bigfoot's that.
But you also
like,
have
yeah,
that, Pat, in Missing 411. People think that Bigfoot is taking these people out of national forests and
true.
David Pilatus
and we should
Missing 411, Josh, right?
What's that?
Missing 411. Do you know about that whole
Yeah,
phenomenon?
yeah. I have. Yeah, I
now
know.
that's
We have
the crossover. There's your crossover, bro.
That is. That's your link.
Yeah, that's where the Bigfoot world meets the true crime world.
You think that possibly Bigfoot is stealing people?
No, that's I don't think that at all. That's the narrative that David Pilatus, who is the author of Missing 411, has put out there. He's kind of slowly worked his way into that narrative. And so now we're talking about real cases with real people that have gone missing, either never been seen again or found. Some remains have been found, and some of them children. And he smothered that in a Bigfoot
A lot
sauce
of them
narrative.
children.
Yeah, he smothered that in a Bigfoot sauce narrative.
Right.
And so now we do have this crossover. Like we could talk about this stuff, like together as a like sort of knowledgeable meeting of the minds, right? And I know a lot about Missing 411.
Yeah, I'm sure the true crime community is familiar with
there's people in the chat.
Mr. Ballin,
Mm-hmm.
He's like a crossover. Mr. Ballin who does the whole 411 thing. And it's like that's probably the closest place that the Bigfoot and the true crime community meet. And if you ever hear the story of and I'm sure a lot of your viewers know of Brandon Lawson, the guy that went missing in Texas. It's my favorite true crime story ever. He's never been found. I think it was 2007. And he had that famous 911 call,
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a 411 thing. I don't know. But he disappeared and he was never found again.
So we could talk about some probably like somebody's already brought up in chat, Dennis Martin.
Dennis Martin. Oh, yeah.
The 60s. What was the other one I was just thinking of? So there was one more recently. A little boy just disappeared out of thin air. More recently, and man, dude, I don't have my facts right on this. I'm sorry, I did not come prepared.
No, that's okay.
With the
Does
fact
anyone
sheet.
know if Bigfoot hit tree? Yeah, I heard tree knocks. I've been in the Comanche Mountains. Anyway, go on.
That could be a bear, though, right?
No, bears do not knock on trees. No.
They don't hit trees.
No, that is not a bear thing.
Well, there's no other animal that does that.
No.
Woodpeckers during the day. Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I have heard whoops. I've heard something on two legs outside my camp. I've heard tree knocks. I recorded the whole thing. I set my recorder, my Zoom H4n Pro, up onto the ridge, and we heard some weird shit. Now, can I prove it's Bigfoot? No. But in an area that people have come to my research partner and said they saw, monkey man, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let's focus on the actual connection we have now, which is the Missing 401, which is an actual connection between these two communities that we've got both sides here. Missing 411. So in the last movie, so not only did David Paulides put out these books, he also followed them up with a few movies.
Go to my
or
Facebook page or my YouTube page.
Yeah, like documentaries. In the last one, The Hunted, there was a couple featured that lost their little boy. They left their little boy with grandpa. I'm sure somebody in chat knows what I'm talking about. Josh, this might ring a bell with you. And supposedly this little boy just vanished into thin air, left with grandpa, while the parents went down to the river to do some fishing with their friends or something. And this little kid was never seen again. It was one of the very featured things in Missing 411, The Hunted.
Yeah, and there are people in the chat that are saying that they are familiar with
Dennis Martin. Yeah, Dennis Martin.
No, not Dennis Martin. It's no.
Oh,
it's not.
I'm sorry.
It's not Dennis Martin. This is recent. Dennis Martin happened in the 60s.
Oh, this is the kid that got abducted in Kentucky.
Oh, I don't think this.
Go ahead.
I don't think this happened in Kentucky.
Well, Brent debunked this whole case. The kid that said he was with a bear.
Well, yeah, okay, and that turned out to be
it was debunked.
His mentally
challenged
neighbor, mentally disabled neighbor who was nicknamed Bear.
Yeah, that was all bullshit. Okay, well, what are you talking about?
So this case, like this kid goes missing, and I'll never forget it, man. Like it was featured in the Missing 411, and I can only say this because Leon, like somebody we have on the show,
Dior, is that it?
I don't know. I can't remember.
From Idaho?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
somebody's saying it was in Idaho.
Yeah, people are starting to convolute the Dennis Martin case into it. But this kid just went missing, was never seen again. The parents they had to get on an ATV to go out to a certain area where they got phone signal. This is all in the documentary Missing 411, The Hunted. Ooh. And I'll never forget, we were talking about Paulides and all this 411 stuff, and Leon was on the show. He said this on air, so I can repeat it. What he said. He said, yeah, I don't know why the cops aren't looking at the parents more. They obviously did it. I mean, it blew my mind when he said that,
Right.
So there's kind of a weird little crossover in that one particular case where, Leon, and he's a smart guy.
Very smart.
And he does know how to read people to a certain degree. And he was like, I don't know why the sheriff's department's not looking at the parents harder on this one, especially since they went on that documentary. He's like, that's what I saw there. So yeah, man. So there are these weird little crossovers that happen.
Bring up allegedly's comment.
Yeah, sure will.
Up. Yeah, there we go.
So she says, Lab and two guests, I think Bigfoot is a hybrid overgrown gorilla species who has adapted well over time. Why do you or don't agree with this theory?
I don't know what a hybrid overgrown gorilla species is. Can you be more specific? It meets our definition of a primate visually. So it's some kind of primate, some kind of hominin. We're primates. We're apes.
If I had to guess, it's another kind of human being. And when settlers came here, the Native Americans were kind of butchered, and those guys were more. This is just widely, theorizing that if Bigfoot did exist, they probably just retreated into the woods, and they were more adapt to they were an earlier hominid, and they were able to what's the word for it? I'm fucking up here.
Well, they appear to be some kind of primate in the
so they could live in the woods more than the Native Americans could, and so they just went deep into the woods. And I don't know, that's kind of, if I believe in Bigfoot, which I don't 100%, that's kind of what I believe.
Now we're just going to get flooded with Bigfoot questions.
I know.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, what's wrong with that? You guys are Bigfoot guys.
It's okay. It's your show, dude. You run your show.
Not a problem.
We are Bigfoot guys, but we are very we don't believe everything we hear.
And that's another thing that we can kind of transition to, and we can do some questions.
I'd love to do Q&A, bro.
Yeah.
Towards the last third of the show.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. And we'll kind of just stick here with we'll transfer to you guys and Cornell. You and I have had conversations about different cases, and the one thing that I do appreciate about you is that you are a critical thinker. You are a skeptic. You don't just blindly buy into stuff. And so like you said, is there a chance in your mind? I heard you say 80%, but do you ever feel like maybe you're just banging your head against the wall because you've never seen one?
Totally. And the only reason why I think that there is a chance that Bigfoot exists is because of my friends and people that have looked, I think I said this earlier, but people that have looked me in the eye. And I've interviewed like dozens of people, and we've got a few of them in here in the chat right now. Patrick Vaughn and
we're bringing some crossover to you, brother.
Yeah, we've got a few people in here from the Bigfoot world.
Appreciate
and Dave Woolbanks, who is an ex-police officer, he's in here, I think, right now. And he owns a music store in Ada, Oklahoma. And he has seen Bigfoot. And he's never drank in his life, okay? He's one of these straight-laced guys. He's just one of those guys that doesn't bullshit. And he's like down the line. He doesn't,
He's a good dude. He's good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So... But I've spoken to other people, police officers, lawyers, trackers and stuff that have looked me in the eye. They've told me that they saw this. And, it's hard for me to just say that, yeah, you're a liar. You didn't see that. You're full of shit. It's hard to describe, but these people tell you, like Jeff Harding. Jeff Harding had a half a tree thrown at him when he was a kid, 15 years old in Minnesota. And this guy's like a real estate agent, a very smart guy.
Yeah. So with the Bigfoot world, there's literally tens of thousands of documented anecdotal accounts.
Yeah, it's hard to say they're all lying.
It's probably bigger than that, actually.
Oh, of course.
I just kind of downplay it as tens of thousands of anecdotal accounts, and I'm talking like in your face or like close, not just some shadowy movement, and you're like, oh, there's a Bigfoot. I'm talking about there's an 8-foot tall monkey man standing in front of you, kind of has a mean look on his face. No clothes, hair all over him, 4-foot wide shoulders. There's tens of thousands of those anecdotal accounts. So what's that all about?
Do you think it could be just kind of like it spreads like how wives' tales get passed on from generation to generation?
No,
these are
recent than that. It's too recent than that.
Yeah, this happened to me, and I'll sit here and tell you for half an hour about my 20-second visual of a Bigfoot standing 20 feet in front of me, and I could talk about it for half an hour in great detail, or a certain amount of detail, and like that's an actual visual. So.
And so you've seen a Bigfoot?
I have not.
Okay. And how long have you been?
I've had them around me. I'm fairly convinced.
Hey, Josh, how many people have we got in chat?
190 something.
Holy shit.
That's a lot.
I'm nervous now. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's all the same, man. 5 or 5,000 doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
don't worry about them. They're good people.
So yeah, dude, the anecdotal accounts that we're talking about in the tens of thousands are interactions and visuals that really, and I hate to be binary about it, but it's one of two things. It actually happened, that thing's actually standing there, or these people are hallucinating.
Right.
Like in a very powerful way. Or
they're liars.
Or I would say the third one, to break the binary, there's a cult of liars.
Yeah.
And we are good friends with some of those cult of liar people.
Right.
You know. It's interesting. Yeah, it is so weird to see how these communities just get mucked up. And the one thing that we all have in common in these communities are people. And like you said, it's the same kind of people with just different interests. People want to mess you up. They want to mess your day up. They want to make you feel stupid. They want to make you they want to make fun of you in front of other people. They think that humiliating people in front of their audience gives them a sense of joy.
We just had an example of that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh my God. I'm not going to go into it, Pat. But what's your example, Josh?
Well, wow.
Not you, Pat. Josh.
My example of just what, like
public humiliation.
Putting up photos of people, like unflattering photos, commenting on them.
Personal attacks.
Personal attacks. Yeah. Attacking people's IQ and their critical thinking skills, like just things like that. I'm sure you guys get a lot of that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I always invite them on the show. I said, you come on the show right now.
Right.
Yep. Like, Pat has an open policy. He'll have a free-for-all night, and Pat on his Squatch Talk channel will have a free-for-all. You can come on the show and say whatever you want, and nobody gets banned.
Yeah, I mean within some parameters. Yeah. But not tight parameters, very loose parameters. Like you can always give your opinion and say what you want or say what's on your mind or what you think, but is the minute you start personal attacking and I'll even let that go to a certain degree.
I know you will.
And it has to really get out of hand, bro. You know what I mean? And we have debates. We had our very first debate, a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. So we'll have debates. I will present a fair platform for anyone to debate whatever side of anything they want, either Bigfoot related, even skeptics. I've had skeptics on my show. Benjamin Radford has been on my show twice. Some others like online skeptics, not as well known as Benjamin. I'll bring him in and I'll talk to him. And we'll have fair conversations. And I try to keep things fair. That's the biggest thing in my life and in my world. As long as you're fair with me, I'll be fair with you. Well, I'll always be fair with you. I will always be fair with you.
Comment.
I ask the same in return. Fairness is important. Open discourse is important.
There's no question about that.
Truth is important.
In life in general, not just in the same way of just in general, truth is everything. And
it's absolute.
And once the reputation of the truth has been tarnished, it's hard to get that back. It's hard to get the genie back in the lamp.
And then you have trust issues, right?
And people kind of start turning away from look. The misinformation between Bigfoot and the true crime community is probably staggering. Look, there are people out there who intentionally throw people off because they want their moments. They want the glory. They want what if I find this person, or what if I solve this case? And can you imagine being the person that has definitive proof of Bigfoot? I mean, they're a billionaire.
You'd make millions. Yeah, you would make millions. That's why you have so many hoaxers.
Yeah.
And there's reward funds when it comes to missing people. And, you know, you get
too.
And I'm here I will do a sight unseen trade with you. Our worst to your worst. We'll trade them straight across.
Yeah, there's Bigfoot in Asia. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's called something different.
We have some of the scariest. Just can you imagine people looking for other people who can't even take care of themselves? Now I could see somebody looking for Bigfoot because it's their hobby, or it's something that they
There's
enjoy.
A lot of that. There's a lot
do.
of that. Yep.
But the stakes are so, like you said, Cornell, the stakes are so much higher. And it just blows my mind that every single community, no matter, searching for Bigfoot should be a enjoyable, a good time with your friends.
Camaraderie. And that's mostly what it is for the people actually in the woods looking for Bigfoot. That's mostly what it is. Yeah.
Right.
It's being like not a child, but it's being like young again and like searching for this creature. And I know a lot of people, I guess a lot of people take it more seriously than I do, but I know there's people out there like Jeff Meldrum and Doug Hychak and stuff that really want to get to the bottom of this and want them to be discovered so it can be a, protected species. But for me, I just want proof for myself so that I can say it exists, and but I haven't had that proof
forever this way.
Yeah, I could. And there are many people.
Yeah. And nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt along the way, except maybe Cornell, because the Bigfoot picked him up and got mad and threw him up against a tree. But
I would love that to happen. Just at least I would know. But
nobody gets hurt. Like, really?
No.
Does it drive you that nuts? Does it bother you that much?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, I get scared. I get scared when I go. Well, I bring a weapon when I'm ever going out into the woods, not just for Bigfoot, but bears, crazy guys. I'll always be armed.
It's always good to be armed in the woods, especially.
Yeah. I mean, you could be scared of, there's bears out there too.
Yeah. So there's crazy guys too.
There might be a weird person.
What's the best evidence that you have, Cornell, for yourself personally?
Well, if you go to my YouTube channel
and drop that, that is the No Such Thing podcast.
Well, I have I don't know if it's evidence or not, but if you want to just hear me out for a second.
Go for it.
I went to the Kamichi Mountains with Dave Woolbanks from the Bigfoot and More channel. We went there a couple of times, but the second time was much more eventful. I brought a H4n Pro Zoom recorder, and I left it up on the ridge, overnight, and it recorded the whole night. And we heard tree knocks. And we heard the loudest whoop I've ever heard. This place is like in the middle of nowhere, and there's no one around. I mean, we had to drive like 10 miles, 20 miles into our campsite, and there's only one way in. And we caught all this stuff, like rock clacks, tree knocks, whoops, whistles. And then at 3:30 in the morning, I was woken up by something walking around my camp on 2 feet. I mean, it was like crunch, 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 crunch. And I'm like scared shitless. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? Mm. And it could have been a bear, like walking with its feet, it's 2 feet. And I don't know if they do that. But because Dave Woolbanks from Bigfoot and More, he'd been going to this area for 20 years, and he had many reports. So obviously my mind went to Bigfoot, instantly. And I yelled at the guys, and we all got at the tent, and there was nothing there. Whatever it was had gone. And I can't say that was Bigfoot, but it was just so strange. That whole night, the woods went quiet. There wasn't a sound in the woods. This was like, what, March? All of the animals in the woods went quiet. It was like deadly quiet. And I'm like, I said to the guys, we're going to have a visitor tonight, And they're like, yeah, bullshit.
Pat, how invested are you into finding Bigfoot?
Extremely.
How long have you been doing this?
So here's my thing. I'm a little, again, I'm the different guy in the Bigfoot world. I'm the guy you kind of don't expect, to even just throw the critical thinking word out there.
Well, that and Bigfoot don't go hand in hand.
Yeah, man. For the most part, yeah.
Humans and critical thinking don't go hand in hand that well.
Yeah, I agree. We got to start teaching it in school.
Yeah, critical thinking is a thing. That's true.
So here's my thing. Is that I became very interested in the phenomena. Again, that's the best way for me to refer to it, because that's what I recognize it as. It's 100% a phenomenon. There's something going on out in certain kinds of areas where people are running into 8-foot tall monkey men, or what they describe as. And I don't know what that is. I know what a good starting point is, but I can't tell you, maybe they're metaphysical. I don't know. But I'm like, why are people, seeing them? And it kind of fascinated me. And then finally, about 20 years ago, I was like, well, the best way to like kind of figure this out and observe them is from the air. We need helicopters with, $250,000 thermal drones on them. Not thermal drones, sorry, thermal cameras 20 years ago. And that was kind of my idea back then. And fast forward to 2021. Oh my God, all that technology is packaged so much better in a smaller platform that's actually affordable, doesn't cost millions of dollars. And so if you ask me, do I go out in the woods looking for Bigfoot? No, I don't. If you ask me, do you think I can get on top of them and observe them and film them for 15 minutes from the air? Yeah, I can. So that's where I'm at. Okay. I'm a aerial thermal drone pilot that wants to get on top of them and observe them that way. So, kind of breaking the mold of this boots on the ground linear world where they own us. It's the data is in 54 years now.
Yeah, true.
The data's in.
Cornell,
they own us. Yeah.
You're an active searcher, correct?
Well, not really. No. Where I live is I don't think there's any Bigfoot activity where I live. I think it's, if you look at the grizzly bear, it needs like 500 square miles to exist. I think probably if Bigfoot exists, it's probably the same thing. And where I live is like, we have a lot of natural beauty, yeah, but it's not connected to anything that is expansive. Maybe I have a couple of areas. I don't know. I just don't think that.
Yeah, that's important.
I don't think Bigfoot is around where I am.
Some kind of connection to
corridor.
Expansion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm very skeptical about Bigfoot being around central Massachusetts. There are a couple of areas that
wouldn't it be anywhere though that it's heavily wooded?
No,
they need so much.
They need a lot of room.
Yeah.
They're not in microforests that are cut off.
No.
From the rest of the world. Like, obviously, dude, like we like that kind of area, you would have like just tens of thousands of reports from that area if it was if it was a microforest where they were cut off. And the way the analogy I would give you, dude, is like there's a reason why people don't see him walk through downtown Chicago. Same kind of thing. They do have their habitat. There's plenty of habitat for them to be in. People don't realize just how remote, huge swaths of the U.S. and of course you get up into Canada, forget about it. But even in the U.S., there's more remoteness than there are city lights. That's for sure.
Talk about how dangerous. Well, I don't to say dangerous, but when somebody throws something out there, what percentage of the people just eat it up right away as fact? I mean, is it a high percentage?
High percentage.
Bigfoot?
In the online.
Anything Bigfoot. Yeah, online.
In the online community.
Terrible.
A high percent, an embarrassing percent.
I asked on my Bigfoot, my Facebook page, Bigfoot Canada, which I'm a moderator, I did an experiment. I'm like, how many of you that haven't seen a Bigfoot, obviously because people have seen a Bigfoot, they're 100%, right? So I'm like, how many of you that haven't seen a Bigfoot are 100% sure that they exist? And it was like almost, I think it was almost everybody said we're 100% sure that it exists. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not 100% sure. And I'm like talking to my friends and like researchers and like Doug Hychek, Jeff Harding, and I believe these guys. And if you don't know who these guys are, like look them up.
Vaughn.
Patrick Vaughn, Joe Snyder. We have so many friends that we really, really believe.
You'll never hear another encounter story as heartfelt
and Carrie Arnold
as Joe's, man. Like,
right. Yeah. But still, I will, say that I can't say 100% if they're real. No, I'm not putting those guys down, but maybe there's something else at play. Maybe it's some kind of a projection of some kind of ancient archetype. I don't know, but I still won't say 100% that Bigfoot is real. But all of these people in this poll said, I think 99% of people said they believed Bigfoot 100%, even though they hadn't had an encounter.
We have to debunk things all the time, Josh.
So
sure. So do we.
Yeah.
And you have to really consider the source. You guys have trusted sources, I'm sure, as do we.
We have some. We have Jeff. We have Jeff Harding. We have Doug Hychek, and there are certain people that we trust and we believe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't believe anything. I don't know if it's the same with you.
Yes, it is,
Pat.
It's the same with me. I know that.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, if you didn't have people like Jeff Harding and Doug Hychek and Professor Jeff Meldrum,
I didn't have them 20 years ago. I had none of these people 20 years ago. It was just my own mind that determined there's something going on here.
And there's definitely something going on.
Yeah, and at that point, I was an adult that was able to look at the PG film as an adult, not just a kid. And I don't want to get into a PG discussion. I mean, we can touch on it, but I've always thought that conclusive. I've tried to dissect it every other way. And I'm like, it's a Bigfoot. Like, there's your proof right there. We actually have footage of one. But yeah, like, it's the people I've met along the way in this journey, swimming these very tough waters, dude. They're rocky waters, and it's full of so much crap that I'm the one trying to make the argument. We got to separate the real from the crap.
Which is why I asked Pat on.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here, by the way. No, thank you for coming on. It's always,
Pat is one of these people that challenges the narrative, and he will put himself out there, and he will get so much shit for challenging like footage or people making claims.
He
will put himself out there, and that's why I respect him. He will get so much shit.
I talk about that. So, I do true crime, but not always either, by the way. I kind of just do a podcast and talk about kind of what's on my mind and how I feel about certain situations. And I try to intertwine them all together. And, one of the things that I like to talk about is standing alone. Sometimes you kind of have to, like you said, everybody wants to follow a certain, we can be very sheepish in a lot of ways as humans. A person is smart, but people are dumb type situation. You have to be able to stand for what you believe in without sacrificing your morals, because what good is it going to do you guys to falsely claim that you've seen a Bigfoot? What good does that do other than maybe, other than maybe you're not you specifically, but the people that do this, maybe they're just bad people who like to fool people and try to gain status and monetary status. And
there's money to be made in Bigfoot if you hoax.
It's all over the boards, Josh. And I'll just give you a recent example, which is kind of a sort of sad story. And I won't get into it too deeply, but it was a situation where somebody was just lonely. They were just lonely.
Okay.
And they, we were their form of entertainment, and they wanted to interact with that. What kept them from being too depressed, I guess, at night or whatever. I'm not trying to read minds here. I'm just saying something along those lines. A lonely person jumped into our little circle, and it just turned out to be a sad situation, and so we all felt like there was no ridicule. I mean, there's no ridicule on my end. I'm like, I get it, man. I know what that was about, So this isn't something to call out. This isn't some hardcore hoaxer. Just, the guy came in and wanted to interact in a way. He lied. He was full of crap. And there's no reason to make a example out of this guy. If anything, just have compassion and show that compassion and say,
can I explain this?
If you want, sure. I mean,
okay. So a guy came into one of our chats, and he had this claim that
BRB.
And I'm sure nobody in the Bigfoot world will see this, so I'm going to just say it. But this guy came into the one of our chats and said that he had all this evidence, and that Bigfoot had COVID, and he saw this child Bigfoot dying of COVID, and the mother was coughing, so he think it had COVID. And he went on to say that there was an underground network of art dealers that would buy Sasquatch pictures for a lot of money, and he made a lot of money through this. So then he was debunked, but then another channel did a psychoanalysis of him, and did a body language analysis of him, and kind of tore him apart. And I thought it was wrong, because I thought the guy was just trying to fit in and be part of the Pat's channel. He wanted a story. So that's what you get in the Bigfoot world. You'll get people that will make up a story, and they want friends, and they want to get into the whole Bigfoot thing. So they'll make up a story, and they'll say they saw a Bigfoot, and then they'll get invited onto one of the Bigfoot channels, and they'll get attention. But then this other channel decided to do a psychoanalysis of him. And
were they qualified to do that?
No.
And were they mean about it?
Yes.
It came across that way.
Yeah, it did.
Yes.
And how did this guy react to that?
We don't know.
Criticized that way?
We don't know.
The only information I got about that is that at the time it was happening, he said it's cool.
Yeah.
But we all looked at that and said, that doesn't matter, man. This he's already in such a mental state. You know, that like, I hate to make this analogy, but like, you know, no, don't take him to jail. No, don't take him to jail. That kind of thing, you know,
Right.
like,
Of course.
you know what I mean?
So Pat and I had empathy for him, as well as many others had empathy for this guy, because we didn't think that
the vast majority of our little group.
Yeah. So this is bringing us back to the whole. Drama thing. We didn't agree with this guy being paraded on a Bigfoot
It fractured
channel.
us. It fractured our group.
Yes.
But thank God, in a 90-10 kind of way.
And maybe that 10 was good to maybe break off from them. You ever think of that?
Well, we didn't think that.
Yes.
We liked them.
Even the 10%.
It wasn't 90-10, Pat. It was more than that.
What do you think it was, Cornell?
Well, when I was watching it, the people in the chat were like making fun of him, and what they were doing was they were like analyzing this guy's movements and reading his body language. That was, and they were freeze framing him, and people were saying, "Oh, he looks constipated." This kind of stuff.
No. I'm not talking about his chat. I'm talking about our group, like the personal inner circle.
Right. You're right. You're talking about the community, not the chat.
Yeah, not chat.
Well, Bigfoot is like, has a lot of different layers. You've got people like Pat, who are the research type people. Then you have
Patrick. You talk about Patrick?
No, you.
Me. Oh, well,
you're like the hub for people that want to know what's really going on. But then you have other channels that tell stories and want to hear the Bigfoot chasing them out of the woods kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing you could do in the Bigfoot world is, you know, do encounter stories.
That's where the money is.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because people have encounters. So I'm not saying that's BS. I'm just saying that's.
Well, let me tell you mine, because I do have one.
Okay.
And you can tell me if I'm crazy or because I don't know if Bigfoot exists. I've never seen one. I don't search for them.
All right.
Matter of fact, I would do my utter best to stay away from them. That's my goal, is to stay away from dangerous creatures. Sure. Now, I was in a place called Mill Creek. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's
I'm not. And you're in
the Pacific Northwest, up in Humboldt County area. Okay. Redwoods and right. You know, it's real thick over this way. And
hey, I know a lot of people around you.
And I'm sure they're looking.
A lot of good friends around you.
Yeah.
Some of them are in chat right now. So go ahead.
That's funny. Most people avoid nature. No, I'm not avoiding nature. I'm avoiding dangerous creatures that could kill me with their bare hands at any moment if they wanted to. I'm not avoiding nature. But I'm in Mill Creek. I was probably 14, 15 years old. We're camping. And we're coming back from the river, walking back to our campsite, and it's starting to get dark. And I hear what is the only way I can describe what I heard was it sounded like the T-Rex on Jurassic Park. It was one of the loudest bellows I've ever heard.
Oh, you talking about the mushroom hunter?
No.
This is me.
He's giving his own anecdotal account. And so I want to get this timing right. I don't want you to give your age away. You look like a young man.
I'm 36.
30. Yeah, I was thinking 30s.
So you said you were 14 years old.
Yeah, about that.
Right. 14. So 20 plus years ago.
Something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I hear this. It's a high pitched, but it has a low kind of treble to it. And I mean, it was audibly loud. There was two other people with me. Everybody heard it. And we all kind of chalked it up to a bear. I've heard bears yell and roar and things like that.
Mm.
I was never convinced that it was a bear, but I also don't know what makes that kind of a noise either. And it was, you've seen Jurassic Park, correct?
Mm.
The T-Rex,
Of course.
obviously not quite as loud. The top pitch didn't quite get there and the lowness of it, but I mean, it was kind of in the pocket of that. Is that consistent with what you guys have heard?
Heard of.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Are you talking about two distinctive tones? Like,
well, it was all in one, but it was mixed.
Yeah,
it started out
nearly impossible to do for most species. So, like, how
we're the worst people to ask if it was a Squatch because we're going to say no.
Yeah, I mean,
well, look, I don't look.
If it was weird to you, and it's still weird to you now,
I've been out here my whole life. I've never heard such a thing.
Yeah,
but animals make some strange sounds.
Absolutely,
but man, not a lot of them make the two tone thing. So,
by the way, I've also heard two raccoons go at it before, and they sound like jaguars.
Oh yeah.
Raccoons can make funny noises, and there's wildlife that can make funny noises.
Look, I have no, thoughts that it was a Bigfoot, but what I'm saying is I've never heard that tone. I've never heard that quite high pitched squeal and tone at the same time. It was it was a very odd, and you're in the middle of the woods.
It's scary.
And it was scary because there's a lot of creatures out there. I mean, they're just.
What was the volume? What was the volume and how long? What was the length of the
it was probably, I would say, 3 seconds or so, maybe 4, less than 5, definitely. Yeah. Okay. But not. It didn't sound like an elk, but
that's pretty short. Yeah, I mean,
it went like, and I'm going.
I come from Ireland, so I don't really have maybe Pat would know more about this, but I am as far as wildlife's concerned, I have no clue.
There are things that could, to this day make you not understand what you heard. There are things out there that can make those kinds of noises, naturally, known animals, and also how much time do you spend in the woods is a factor.
Growing up, it was a lot. I mean, we camped all the time, but it wasn't.
But since then,
where are you from, Josh?
How much time do you spend in the woods now?
As little as possible.
Okay, so see, that's kind of a factor too. I mean, if you'd seen one, that's different.
I live in a green belt. Okay,
where do you live?
Up in I live in Northern California, Humboldt County.
Oh wow, that's. Have you seen the show Sasquatch?
Yeah,
that's based there, right?
Yeah, and I also interviewed one of the guys from Finding Bigfoot.
Really? Which one?
Boo?
No,
Cliff. Probably Cliff.
Yes, Cliff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he was on my podcast.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Him and I, because I think he lives in Southern Oregon, and him and I talked about Bigfoot, and he actually has a Bigfoot museum.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
he just opened it.
He's legit. He's awesome.
Oh, he's a great guy. He was a lot of fun to talk to. Super nice, and he hasn't seen one either.
No,
he certainly has not. And he says, I think his closest thing that he says he thinks that he saw one on a thermal camera at one point, but he really can't confirm. I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
But for somebody like that to say that they think maybe that they saw one on a thermal camera, he's very, just like you guys, he's very skeptical of he wants to be
very smart. He's
like
straight up guy.
Yeah, Bobo believes everything.
Oh yeah, of course. But he's smart
he's
too.
funny, but I don't listen to what he says.
Cliff, I can question Cliff's objectivity sometimes, man.
Sure, well, yeah, I guess everybody could though, right?
Yeah,
we question everything.
That's your job.
And we do. We question each other. Sometimes we fight like brothers.
I think Pat's full of shit.
Yeah. See?
I'm just kidding.
Nice. Have you guys ever had between the two? Have you ever lost friends over this?
Yes.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh my God, just recently.
Really?
Yeah.
It gets that serious.
Which brings us back to the whole topic of the conversation. I had on my Facebook page tonight, we had a video of the two brothers, the Wells brothers, and they were bow hunters, and they saw Sasquatch. You know what I'm talking about, Pat? And they saw Sasquatch, and they acted it out and stuff, and they're like, "Oh wow, it's a Sasquatch!" And they had this like classic gorilla suit in front of them, and someone posted it on my Facebook group earlier, and I'm like, "That's bullshit. It's just this is a well-known hoax." And they're like, "Well, what do you mean it's a well-known hoax?" So I'm like, "Well, common sense, but I'm going to have to back up what I say." So I had to go back and research it and find out why it's a well-known hoax. And I haven't found the answer yet, but for me, it's common sense. They were like acting, and it's total bullshit, but I've got to be able to back up my claims.
It's a well-known hoax because I think where you're going with that is there's a consensus that got formed around that. And you're going off the consensus and your own instincts of what you're seeing. And you have a consensus standing behind you going like this, like, yeah, that's BS. And that happens a lot. But sometimes we actually shut stuff down, Josh.
Most Bigfoot footage is BS.
And you have and that will cause a fight when you say I don't believe it.
Yes. Yeah. And we have I get messages on my Facebook, and you're like an asshole.
With the overall community.
Mm-hmm. Because people want to desperately want to believe in something.
Well, we had a famous case recently,
belief, dude.
Yeah, it really is.
And Pat, we had a very respected Bigfoot researcher recently released a documentary, and I'm not going to release any names, but he filmed a Bigfoot going up an apple tree. But everybody that looked at it was like, that's a porcupine.
Yeah.
And
it was pure delusion.
It was a porcupine.
It was an example of pure delusion. And this was released as content, smothered in Bigfoot narrative sauce. And everybody was like,
it split the community apart.
Yeah.
It split the community apart. It was in Vermont. And he released like maybe 9 different
rebuttals.
Videos on why it was a Bigfoot. And,
at the end of the day, that's sad too.
Yeah, I don't want to make enemies, but, I've got to like put it out there that I don't think that was a Bigfoot. And, you look at the video and you compare it to like a porcupine. I call it a porky-gate. And
yeah, a lot of
you don't want to be mean to the guy. You don't want to be an asshole, right?
No. That's why I reached out to him.
It's harmless.
I reached out to him in all honesty and fairness, Josh, just like I would you, or Cornell or anybody that had a disagreement with, like, hey, let's talk about this.
Right.
Even if it's behind the scenes. And man, I'm not talking to that Pat Turner guy. It's like
in the Bigfoot world, if you have some evidence and you release it, you're going to get torn to shreds if it's not legit. So people think that in the Bigfoot world, people just believe everything. It's not the case. If you don't have something to back it up, and if you can't like back it up 100%, you're going to get torn to shreds, and your reputation is going to get ruined. And it's a very harsh environment.
You shouldn't lead with the narrative. Lead with the evidence.
Right.
Don't ever lead with the narrative. Yeah.
And that's kind of where you guys get your respect from. I wanted to open it up real quick for you guys to take a couple questions. I'm sure you'll get
do it.
And make sure that the questions are serious, because if they're not, nobody's going to answer.
Hey, you know what? I just want to say real quick, Josh. Like, I love your chat. I've been paying attention to your chat.
They're the best.
You got the lab is awesome. I told you, Pat. The lab is awesome. I love this channel.
And they made me. They're just. I'm super proud of my chat because, most of the people that come here are just are great. They're just fantastic. Lucas,
Curious Cryptid. He's awesome.
That? Yeah, man. CC, we brought the bros in tonight.
Yeah,
we brought some people in here tonight.
I love that. Let's see. So Lucas says, what do you guys think about Skinwalker Ranch? You got any opinions on that?
Man, you know, it's kind of tough because it's a lot of anecdote involved with that. It seems kind of weird. It's a place I would like to go and actually sort of explore myself personally. It makes for good entertainment, but there was an actual dedicated team of scientists that went there. The property, I believe, was eventually purchased by a production company. And of course, recently they had the Skinwalker Ranch series on one of the channels. I can't remember which one, and I didn't find that very compelling at all. But you know, anecdotally, it's pretty entertaining. I'd like to see what's kind of going on out there.
Sure, absolutely. Let's go here. You guys heard about the man that went seen in New York and ended up in California? Is that a question?
No, I have no idea.
Is that a real question, Kelly? Or
yeah.
What is that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Give me your phone number, Carrie. We can talk about it later.
Yeah.
Do they believe in the inner Earth theory and the possibility that Bigfoot and other creatures live there?
Absolutely not.
But you're familiar with it, yeah?
I understand geology.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
That's funny. The let's see. One of the questions I saw earlier that I didn't get to put up is, where are the bones?
Yeah, so
big subject.
Right. So we have all kinds of bones of we keep finding bones of our primate species, the hominids that existed in the past, and now we're talking maybe millions of years. We keep finding stuff. And so the thing about bones is this, and this also, again, this is a crossover into your world, Josh, the true crime world. In wet forested areas, those remains disappear quick.
Patterson-Gimlin, let's do that question next, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, I got to start. I got it queued.
Yeah.
And that's fine. So so in wet forested warmer areas, especially even in colder environments, if there's a lot of moisture and the kind of species that are around, rodents especially, will eat bones. Porcupines will eat teeth.
Porcupines?
Yeah, but porcupines will eat teeth. And so remains for human beings don't last that long. Relatively speaking, I mean, maybe you could find some remains 30 years later. Probably not. That's getting on the edge of, it's just been too scattered. It's too eaten. So things don't fossilize in wet forested areas. And that's where these things are always seen, is in wet forested areas.
The Pacific Northwest.
Even where I live,
Kentucky.
dude. I mean, all over the U.S.
Yeah, Kentucky's a hot spot, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard of reports there.
Yeah, up and down the Appalachian Mountains, which are a way, way remote, 1,000-mile chain. 100 to 300 miles wide, no towns, nothing. For 1,000 miles up into New England. So we have wet forested areas down here. We have wet forested areas in the mid, southern middle part of the U.S. and of course the Pacific Northwest, which is vast, leading up into Canada. There's a lot of good reasons why bones are not found or fossils.
That's true, Kathy. Can you bring up the guy that talked about
what are your thoughts on the Patterson-Gimlin film? And that is the famous film from what is
1967.
Yeah,
Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin. It's the most famous footage you'll ever see of a Bigfoot.
You give your you give your opinion first, Pat, and I'll give mine.
Yeah, so my opinion is this: after years and years since I was a child studying that film and flipping the script on it, like it's real, it's not real, like looking at objectively, what you see in that film is a Bigfoot. Period.
Really?
I'll debate anyone on that subject. Anyone.
So you're convinced?
I've become convinced. I've objectively looked at it to the point where I have to make a decision, and I feel completely comfortable putting it out there as what you see in that film is a Bigfoot, or what we colloquially say is a Bigfoot, right? I can tell you what it's not. It's not a man in a suit, 100%, and I can articulate why.
Why?
Well, I don't want to have that. Like, I don't, dude. That's an hour-long debate.
I know.
But I mean, basically, the limb proportions don't match a human. The size doesn't.
Good job, Josh. By the way, keep going.
The size doesn't match a human in a suit. The technology in 1967 could never allow something like this to be a guy in a suit. So those are my basic opening talking points as to why it's not a guy in a suit.
What about you, Cornell? How do you feel about it?
I'm 50-50. I think it's BS.
Oh, really?
I think that when people say that it's not, they didn't have the technology back in 1967 or what, we had do you ever see the movie Space Odyssey 2001? Do you ever see those monkeys? They were so convincing. And I'm not saying that this isn't
that movie
real.
Came out 10 years later, dude.
No, it was 67 or 68.
No. You're talking about
Space Odyssey 2001.
No. You're talking about the Planet of the Apes.
No. Space Odyssey 2001 was 66 or
no. That
67.
movie came out in the mid 70s, dude.
No, it didn't. I'll prove it to you.
All right, Google it. Google it.
Space Odyssey 2001.
We got drama in the Bigfoot community here.
I'm telling you, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was 1968.
Space Odyssey?
Yes.
2001?
Yes, it was 1968. And people keep saying that they didn't have the technology, they didn't have the suits, they couldn't have ever done that. But you look at that movie and you look at the monkeys at the start and they were so convincing. I'm 50-50 on the Patterson-Gimlin footage. I think that if someone came out and told me that it was a fake, like say Bob Gimlin had a confession footage kind of deal, I would be like, I knew that. But if you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you couldn't get nowadays to fake something like this would be nothing.
Oh, right, yeah. It's very good, but there's a couple of parts in that footage.
Who would have the foresight to do this back then?
Patterson.
Okay, I smell a debate. All right, Pat versus Cornell debate.
Go for it.
Well, I'm not going to win.
Not here, not now.
Okay, well, we'll be sure to tune in when that happens.
That's going to be. I've been wanting to host a Patterson-Gimlin debate.
That thing looks like such a guy in a suit.
And when I look at it, I almost see that they're overly swinging the arms.
Right. It's like
that's just my opinion.
That's how they move, dude.
I'm sure that's how they move, but like this is an exaggerated motion, right?
It is. Yeah, they're like making sure they look.
They're making sure that they're swinging those arms instead of they can still swing the arms, but like this isn't a Madonna concert. Like, come on now,
dude. Those arms are about as big as my thigh.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I look. Who knows? Who knows? And
that's what I'm saying, dude. I mean, if you guys want to drive me into the into the PG film, I mean. To me that's a longer discussion.
Sure. Yeah, Pat has more technical knowledge than I do, so he would probably beat me.
Well, you both make fantastic points, and also I wanted to thank you guys so much for coming on and having this discussion, and I would love to have you guys back on again. It's been fantastic and entertaining.
Yeah.
The chat loves you guys. They have, and thank you for bringing your people over and making a crossover, because sometimes you know what, we got to step away from
sometimes
the monotony of what we're doing every single day.
We got to get away from the topic at hand and just talk about something else, and like Bigfoot or true crime and stuff. It's so much more fun.
Which reminds me, real quick, Josh.
Yeah.
In what you just said in reference is that, like, I want to start a new show on my channel called Other YouTubers. So I'd love to have you on as guest.
Just let me know and I'll be there.
Yeah, man. And
I'll be there and I'll bring people with me.
No, it's not about like even what's happening now. It's just like you have a YouTube channel. Let's talk about your YouTube channel and just have like cool discussion about whatever. It can go just about in any direction. So it's not about Sasquatch, but it's about your channel. So I'd love to have you on as my first guest, man.
We didn't even get into this. We didn't even talk about the drama. We haven't even talked about that yet.
We touched on it, dude. We touched on it.
We definitely touched on it,
Josh didn't touch on it though.
And I'll say this. I will say this to everybody watching right now, and you too, Josh. Go watch a documentary called Behind the Curve. Just go watch that, whether you've seen it or not. I mean, if you've seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. And if that documentary makes you drop your jaw in the first 10 minutes of, oh my God, this is just like our community, that's a powerful thing, because that's what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I said, Behind the Curve documentary. I'm not going to say what it's about, but the 10 minutes into that documentary, I was like, oh my God, this is just like the Bigfoot world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you'll get the joke. Once you see what it's about, you'll get the joke. Yeah.
And I'll wrap it up here. I found it interesting to know that the one thing that we have in common are just that we're dealing with humans here.
Yes.
And people love drama. They love to attack and make fun. And as long as it's within the realm of respectfulness, but you never know the kind of damage you can actually do to somebody through this kind of stuff. Even making fun of somebody who says that they've seen a Bigfoot, and then breaking down an entire video of their body language and their mental state, speculating on their mental state.
That's not good.
Which we already knew that he was lying. Like,
Sure, of course.
everyone already knew that. That was the problem with that.
Peter Kane. Yeah, we know Peter Kane.
Yeah, Peter Kane is satire.
He's satire.
He's satire.
Yeah, he's bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't like him?
No.
We don't like.
No,
we don't like him.
I got no
He's
problem with
funny.
him.
Yeah, right.
It's obvious satire.
On purpose. Yeah,
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah.
So go look at the news article about a huge python that killed and carried before. And keep in mind, animals move away from danger in hurricane zones and go north. That's actually true.
Hey, Josh, do you have an after show?
I don't. I
Do.
don't have an after show. It's not a bad idea, though, is it?
Well, we have after shows and we talk some shit.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What is it, like a members only?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, right. Come on, Pat.
I think you're just talking backstage after the
Yeah,
show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to thank you guys for coming on. Yeah, and hang on, and stay on just for a second.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for coming on. And on behalf of everybody here in the lab, Pat, Cornell, thank you guys so much.
Thanks everybody for joining in.
We appreciate you. You guys take care and have a good night.